Get in, son. Chef Fit Podcast 42. What are you at? X. What we're talking about today, chefs, the topic of this episode. You don't need more information. You need to make a decision. Peter, what's the crack?
What's happening, Cam, buddy? All right? How we doing?
I'm all good, Chief. I am all good. We had a good night last night in the Higgs clan. My brother got his Michelin star with locks, fuck me, with Variety Jones. Left a few years ago in a horrible fucking way. No, him and my other brother, Aaron. Aaron runs the floor. He's the general manager, and then Keelan obviously.
7 months. That is absolutely astonishing.
Mad. I think it's funny the fucking, well, not only was the Michelin ceremony absolute pony, but regardless of that, we looked at the star and what the lads were doing. And do you know what? Actually, this is actually a good topic to go off to start off this episode. So when my brother started, like, me and him used to have a house in Harold's Cross. We were renting, right, little fucking tiny gaff on Armstrong Street, and I can remember.
Guys, my brother literally lived there. Lived on Armstrong Street.
Yeah, guaranteed. Sorry, in the corner from Daybreak, you know it.
There you go.
And in this, like, I can remember when I moved to that house, Keelan was part owner of another restaurant, and I was working there. I was managing the bar for him, and Aaron was managing the floor. And we got to a point where we all had to walk away from that, and it was a very, very fucking shit situation. It was really shit. Keelan lost his fucking business. I lost my job. My other brother Aaron lost his job. I was on the dole. Keelan was on the dole. My other brother, I don't know what Aaron did after that, but he was back in Greystones. And I can remember how dark it was seeing him in that state, because it was his life's dream that had just been fucking ripped from underneath them, you know, and he was shafted big time, and I'll fucking openly say that. But anyway, as that happened, fast forward a couple of years, he had to work as a head chef in places that he didn't want, like fucking working, cooking food for people that, you know, cooking food that he was hating and killing himself for other people, and to save a bit of cash. So he had the opportunity to open his own place. And when he decided to get a premises, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. You know, it was a derelict old tattoo parlor on Thomas Street in Dublin 8, and is like a fucking old rotten tattoo parlor. It had no floor. The whole place had been stripped. There was no walls. There was no insulation. There wasn't even a fucking ceiling on the roof. Like, you're talking nothing. Absolutely nothing. Bare brick, no floor, just straight into a basement. And there was 15 tons of rubbish in the basement that had to be taken out. That was what it started with. And it was just Keelan and my brother Aaron, and the two of them, with the help of fucking friends and, you know, tradesmen who they knew, and fucking scrape any last penny together over the course of 4 to 5 months. They took that from being nothing with a landlord who was trying to fucking annihilate them every step of the way. Every problem that could have happened. And they eventually got it open 3 months after it was supposed to open, after Christmas. They wanted to be open before Christmas, had to open in January or after Christmas. It's now, you know, 7, 8, 9 months later in business, and rose up to the point where they're getting a Michelin star. And, you know, last night, I suppose for me, being part of his journey and being part of seeing him struggle as a chef and seeing his transformation as a person, as he turned 30, he completely changed his lifestyle, got rid of the drugs, the booze, all of that shit, and just fucking, you know, started doing jiu-jitsu, did his first competition the other week, and just focused himself, really fucking focused himself, and applied himself to taking care of himself and treating himself as a fucking high performer. And that reflected in the start that they got. But it was a very proud moment for all of us. But it also has this thing, right, that you don't need more information. You need to make a decision. And this same thing needs to happen before we even dive into whether you should make a lifestyle change or not. I think a lot of chefs need to ask themselves this question of what they want in their career. You know, every single chef is going to get to a point where you're like, well, what the fuck do I ultimately want? Like, what do I ultimately want? Like, Keelan's thing was he wants to be one of the best chefs in the world. You know, obviously very few people can get to that level, but like that was what he wanted and he was very driven to do it and he sacrificed a huge amount to do it. If that's what you want to do, then make a decision to fucking do it and follow through on it. For a lot of chefs, if you don't feel that that is the level that you want to get to and you don't want to fucking kill yourself to get to that level and reach those accolades and do all of those things, you've got to stop sitting on the fence and thinking that it's like, okay, right, well, I'm working 80 hours here, getting absolutely fucking murdered as, you know, a junior sous, chef de partie, whatever the fuck, getting paid fuck all. And I'm absolutely destroying myself. And I'm hoping one day that I can go and work over here and go and work over there. But you're not really clear on why. You know, you're not really clear on why. And I'm sure, Peter, you ended up in a, you know, not a rut, but a cycle of like, you know, place to place, same situation, still getting fucked. And what's important about your story that a lot of people take, so I'm fucking flashing here. What's important to take away from your story is that you came to a point where you had to make that decision, you know, and it's like, what do I actually want in my life? You know, and life will give you a situation. You had a family. So
what I did was I didn't make a decision. The way I ended up coursing about that was, rather than making a decision on my career, I made the decision about myself and my family and my own health.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I didn't say, right now I want to be this kind of chef or get to this level of chef. I thought, I want to get a job that I am out the door at 3:00 and then it's my time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I work to live instead of living to work. That's where I was, because I didn't decide where I wanted to be in 10 years.
Yeah.
Professionally.
Totally. But I think that it's not, that's not a different choice. That's a different avenue to go down. And what I want to touch on is using that as an example. Like, that's an example of what you can do. You don't have to murder yourself as a chef. You don't have to destroy your health. You don't have to get to a point where you're fucking so anxious and depressed and fucking unhealthy that you feel you're gonna, you know, you're a ticking time bomb. You can make a decision to choose you. You can make that decision, or you can make a decision to commit 100% to the career and try and make something out of that. But you've got the ultimate question here is like, what's the fucking end game? What's the end game? What do you want? Not enough people actually ask themselves what they want. That's why you have so many chefs who are in their fucking late 30s, 40s, sometimes even going into 50s, and they're still breaking their fucking bollocks, probably working for some wanker who doesn't fucking care for them, and ruining their relationships in the family, their personal life, all of those things, because they're so 100% devoted to something that they probably don't even want, you know? So Peter made a choice to pick himself. Some chefs make a choice to kill themselves to get to the highest level. What I want you to avoid is falling in the middle. Falling in the middle. Obviously, there's always going to be at high-level kitchens. You're not always going to be the head chef owner. I 100% understand that. And I understand going and working in places that are amazing and are real big learning experiences and you can learn from some of the best. 100%. I totally get that. What I want you to understand is, what is the end game and where do you want to be when you're 35, 40? You know, do you still want to be murdering yourself for fuck all pay and have no life? Or, you know, is that leading to something? Because if it's not leading to anything, then like, what the fuck are we talking about here? We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. So that's the first part of this, is actually making a decision on what you want as a person, you know?
And as well, when you look at that decision, is when you get to that point, what is that going to cost you? So it would be awesome if you're 20 years old to know where you're going to be when you're 40, if you're going to have done it, and if you're going to win, or are you going to get there and you're sick to death and you've got nobody in your life and you can't hold down a relationship and you haven't seen your kids in 4 years because your wife left you, all because you were chasing after that star.
True.
You can't see that, you know what I mean? It's a lesson that I try to say to young chefs these days as well. I try and recommend them to get away from it just for my own thing, but there's a few that do it, there's a few that get through, but what's that going to cost you at the end of the day?
Totally. and you've got to weigh up the cost. And that's why life is, life is whatever you
And that's all the
fucking,
way everyone's different. You know what I mean? Everybody's different.
everyone is different, but life is what you make it, and you've got to understand that, if that's what you want in life, cool. You got to fucking, there's going to be a cost to that, but is it going to be worth it for you? That's for you to decide. That's for you to decide. But killing yourself on someone else for someone else's benefit, ultimately in the long run, when you've got responsibilities and you got family and you got shit, it's not fucking worth it. So let's say you make this decision to focus on yourself. Let's say you make the decision to not go for broke and try and be a fucking hero superstar chef, and you're gonna, like, this is what I do for a living. I like cooking, it's what I'm good at, but I also want to have time with things that matter, like having a healthy lifestyle, having energy and motivation to fucking spend time with my family or be present within my relationship. And getting something outside of work that I can really focus on, that gives me a good sense of work-life balance. Let's say you make that choice, you make that decision. Okay, cool. You need to be decisive in what you're doing. So I had a conversation with a chef recently who was kind of looking to join Chef Fit Elite. And before I go into this story in any detail, understand that Chef Fit Elite, if you are a chef, is your best chance at changing your life and leading a healthy, happy lifestyle. End of.
100%.
Let's just put that out there as a fucking disclaimer. If there was any doubt. So when I spoke to the chef, I had a good conversation, but again, there was a lot of excuses and there was a lot of the hemming and hawing and fucking, will I, won't I? And I kind of called it on it to a certain extent, but obviously after I go, right, listen, man, I know you need this. So like, you can join the elite and this is what it's going to cost you. This is how long the membership is. And this is the timeline for getting started. And this is, if you want to take one of the membership options, boom, this will be the day that you start. This is what's going to happen then as we go forward. And it's like, yeah, great, man. I'll come back to you on that, which is already number one. It's kind of like, okay, cool. I need to talk to the missus is usually the reason, which a lot of people say. 9 out of 10 times that usually doesn't go well. Usually they tell you to go fuck yourself. When you talk to the missus, they'll usually say, no, you're going to fail somewhere. You're not going to do it. So anyway, lo and behold, what I expected to happen happened. He texted back and said, yeah, I can't afford that. Sorry. And then it was like, I'm unsure. I'm also unsure of how the program is going to kick me in the arse. Even though I've explained all of these things thoroughly, I didn't know how it was going to kick me in the arse or hold me accountable and, this and that. And I kind of said, listen, chief, this is as simple as I can fucking make it for you. I've explained the path for you. I've explained what the plan and the process will be. I've explained how long it's going to take you to get there. And I've explained how much it's going to cost you to get there. Now, the only thing that's stopping you is you. The results are there to prove it. So it's like, you need to you don't need me to tell you specifically what little tweak or trick I'm going to implement that's going to kick you in the arse or hold you accountable. It's besides the point. That doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is you. I've explained what we do, but now it comes down to you. And this saying, you're going to have this same situation yourself, chef. If you're in a situation where you're kind of like, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, I'll do it someday, I'll get it started next year. The reality is, you need to learn how to make a decision, and you need to learn how to make a decision quickly. So most people will fucking spend years thinking about, how many people do you talk to? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking do that someday. I'm gonna do that when I get time. I'm gonna do that when I'm in a better headspace. I'm gonna do that now, and with another time. It's like, now is the fucking time. Learn to make a decision now, because that's the thing that's going to change your life. You need to know to go, right, this is the fucking time. I gotta go. When it's time to go, you gotta go. And unfortunately, not a lot of you know when that time is. You see, in this world where, especially with changing your lifestyle, so like obviously this guy, like I pointed out to him before I even move on to that other thing, like I pointed out to him, it's like, man, the systems are there of showing you what we do, but it's like, at the end of the day, this is just an excuse to justify you not taking action, which is exactly what you've done up to this point. And the reality is, if you go this alone, you're not going to achieve the goal. And all I got back then was, fuck you, you don't know, I'll fucking do this goal without you and all this. Like, okay, cool, cheers, bye. And what I've realized is, the other thing that was said was, your path isn't the only path. And I was like, okay, cool. That's a good point. Let me explain this for you. When you want to make a change, most chefs are massively unfit and unhealthy. A lot of chefs want to be fit and healthy. Okay, cool. When it comes to getting fit and healthy, you're going to be at a fucking crossroads. And you're going to be at a crossroads where you've got like 20 or 30 different paths that you can take on the internet. You can fucking find anything on the internet, you know, any fucking different program, different method, whatever. It's out there to be found. And when you're at that crossroads and you're looking down every single path, you get paralysis by analysis. You literally get paralyzed by the amount of options on the table for you. Will I do this fucking, will I do a ketogenic diet? Will I do an Atkins diet? Will I do low carb? Will I just fucking eat like one meal a day? Will I do fasting? Will I fucking take this supplement? Will I do a fat burner? Should I drink, you know, tea? Should I drink herbal tea? Should I do sit-ups to get rid of the flab here? Should I join a gym? Should I go and get a bike? Should I do spin classes? Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do Chef Fit? Should I fucking, you know, do Pilates? Should I do yoga? You've got all of this shit in front of you, and you've got all of these paths that you can go down. And it's not that any one of them is wrong. Some of them are better than others. Chef Fit probably being better than a lot of them. But it's like you've got all these paths in front of you. And because you're looking at all the options, you'll spend so much time standing in the middle of the crossroads going, that time will actually pass you by. And the same amount of time that you spend thinking about it, I've seen chefs come into Chef Fit and fucking commit and change their life. You know, you'd be very surprised on what you can do in 3 to 6 months. Very surprised.
Unbelievable.
I've seen chefs, I can name a few, Ben Wilkinson, Jasper, fucking, you know, it's like we could Gordo, you keep rattling off names, you know, there's 60 of them in there. Like within that 3 to 6 months.
It's tried and tested now, but at the start when we were going in blind, it was a situation of got a phone call, sent a text, got a phone call, and then I basically made the decision in between the time of the text and the end of your phone call. I was like, okay, let's do it. But the big thing is, and I said this in a video in the free group recently, that you need to commit to that decision. And that's also what the main message in today's podcast has been, that once you make that decision, you commit to it, and then you go at it doggedly until you've reached your goal.
100%.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
It's probably the best advice I'm going to give you.
Yeah, just make a decision and then fucking commit to it. Don't be 1 foot in, don't be 1 foot out. Pull the trigger, keep the fucking trigger down until there's no bullets left.
Totally. I think that one thing, do you know when we're saying like, okay, make your decision quickly, but once your decision, that decision needs to be final. Because ultimately what you've got to understand is that it all falls down to you. I'm the same. You know, I'm the same. If I do something, it's on me to make it a success. And if it's not a success, it's my fault. It's not the thing I'm fucking using. There's something I could have done better. There's something I forgot or didn't do or whatever the fuck, or I wasn't committed enough. When you make a decision, you have to commit 100%. You're not going to change your life by being 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You're only going to change your life drastically by fucking going all the way. Burn the boats, leave the fucking, you know, leave the old version of you behind and go forward and fucking create the new one. Like, it's that simple. You have to stop thinking that you're just going to discover some magical fucking thing that's going to like, this is amazing, you know? Even if Chef Fit didn't exist, that shouldn't be a fucking excuse, you know? All I've done is shown a light on what the truth is and gone, this is the path to get to where you want to go, you know? And most chefs have taken that up, some haven't. But at the end of the day, for the chefs who haven't, the reason that they failed is because they lack commitment. They weren't truly committed. They said they wanted it, but they didn't really want it. You know what I mean? They said they wanted it, but they didn't really want it. Because when you really want something, your commitment overrides your emotions and your feelings. Whereas if you're not committed, your feelings rule your life. You know? That's why I always say facts, not feelings. Because when you don't feel like it, you won't wake up that hour earlier. When you don't feel like it, you'll fucking cry off the gym, or you'll cut your set a couple of reps short, or you'll skip your meal prep, or you won't have that meal, or you'll leave it at home, or you'll order that takeaway. You'll have that drink. You won't even think about it. That's what happens when you're not committed. When you're fully committed, you understand what it takes, and you'll do whatever it takes. But this all comes down to your frame of mind of picking something and fucking doing it. As Peter said, pull the trigger till there ain't no bullets left. That's
You make it sound so easy, but I've got
difficult.
600 blues and greens combined of ball breaking sessions that proves if it was easy, everybody would fucking do it. And
Totally.
it's not going to be, it's not a fucking walk in the park. When you make that decision, you say, right, this is what I want to do. Cam, what do I have to do? And then Cam, you say, okay, here's what you have to do. And you go, oh, bollocks, look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've made the decision. I'm going to do it. And then as soon as you get into it, people are going in the first couple of weeks like, Jesus, it's a whole new me. You shed your skin right down the middle. You step out and you come in, and then you're a new person. And what keeps happening is people keep reinventing themselves as well and finding new strengths and new talents and new versions of themselves. And they shed another skin, and then they step out again. And that's what I love to see.
It's mad.
People that are strong in something, they're like, somebody will be like a really strong runner or something, and they'd be in the group, and the cardio that'll be them, bang, 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 and then all of a sudden, me with fucking lifting weights.
Totally
I've been in chef fit longer, like since day one, and I only took lifting serious, say 4 or 5 months ago, 4 months ago or something like that, and now my main hobby is fucking lifting heavy shit up off the ground.
Totally. Because
that's another reinvention of me that I'm after doing.
Big time. I think when we think about, the within Chef It Elite, we have something called the Chef's Path, and it's basically it's a progression system. It's a leveling up system. And Peter is very close to Chef It Elite level now, and I've set lofty fucking goals to be Chef It Elite. Like, it's not easy to be there. You need to be strong as fuck. You need to be very fit in your 5K, and you need to be consistent as fuck and checking in your sessions. So it's like
absolutely everything for level 4 and level 5, except for the bench. I have all the lifts for level 5 and my 5K time for level 5 as well, except for the bench.
So fucking close. But again,
close.
But the point is, it's like
the point is, I have the targets for me. That's what got me hooked into the actual lifting. Was a testing week that came along, and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is what I needed for level 3 or whatever it was. And I was like, I don't think I'm quite there, or I'll give it a bash. The weight bleed flew up, and I was like, Jesus Christ, so what else can I do? Oh, maybe I'm fucking good at this.
Yeah.
Hinge exercises all of a sudden became like a buddy of mine.
Yeah, totally. 100%. And it's like that progression that you see is like you have this path to go up, and it's like level 1 through 5, and you have targets to hit at each specific part of the path. Now, what you've got to understand is throughout that process is your goals change rapidly. So like once you're fully committed and you're in it and you're fucking not there, you're not going to quit. Cool. So magic things start happening because you start making progression up this path. And then all of a sudden, Peter, 1 year later, he's gone from someone who wasn't really into the gym. He was into his cardio on the bike and stuff like that. And now he's running fucking 5Ks. Now he's doing, putting up serious times. He's in the gym. He's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And his body is changing completely in terms of its shape. And
my head is changing as well. My temperament is chill as shit now.
Totally, yeah. Big time. Because you prove it to yourself through your own progression. There was I think the Maharishi is the fucking Indian guru guy. I might be saying that absolutely horrendously wrong, but anyway, an interesting quote. If I can remember it, I might be fucking paraphrasing this massively, but again, it's like happiness is gotten through achievement, and achievement is gotten through action, and action is governed by thoughts. So you need to start thinking in a way where it's like, I am fucking 100% committed to what I'm doing here. I'm 100% committed. Because what happens when you're committed is you take action. When you take action, you achieve. And when you achieve things, all of a sudden, your life changes. And I'm telling you that for a fact. Through achievement. Human beings need this. Not enough men. I'm not making a disparity here. But in society, what I see, and this is not unique to chefs, is that men don't have purpose. They don't have fucking purpose in life. And we have a lot of, 75% of suicides are male. And when I look at that, what that tells me is they're lost. They're lost. They're out there going like, I've got no fucking, you need to do something difficult and you need to overcome it and get good at it. That's what needs to happen for you to change your life. It's as simple as fucking as. You need to do something difficult and get good at it. That was obviously for women as well. That's absolutely true. For men though, you're fucking losing your purpose because you're not challenging yourself. You need adversity. You need to be challenged. You need to get good at something, you know, and you need to overcome that barrier because the breakthrough mentally is a game changer. It's a game changer. Absolutely 110%. And what I see in the Sheffield Elite is I see that actually happening in front of me on a week-to-week basis. I see chefs challenging themselves, beating their fucking records, besting themselves, getting better and better and better and better. And they evolve as people, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all of that. You know, Peter's a very good example of it. So that is how we'll finish off today. Thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, 5-star review on iTunes. Yeah, exactly. Good shit.
I think what you said about his first restaurant, you said his dream had failed, but guess what? We dream every night, Cam.
60 G's, baby!
Give me that shmoney.
Ain't it? Okay. Podbean, check us out. Create a channel. iTunes, 5-star review. Share it on social media platforms. Tag chefs who need to fucking hear it. Get involved. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. I'll come up with another line from that song in the near future. But for the moment, shotgun bullets are bad for your health. Stay safe.
Yeah!